Some old pictures I emailed to myself because stuff kept on happening to my camera. You know, because my apartment complex gave the keys to someone they shouldn't have, violated all possible rights they could have violated in that. And I walked around my old apartment, apparently, just taking pictures, not on the inside, on the outside, so I could show it to them one day. Probably did it on the inside too, I haven't run into those yet. Took pictures around the city. I think it was just a way for me to deal with things and, do something with myself. So, took pictures of buildings and landmarks. A lot of the stuff isn't around anymore. There were a lot of empty buildings even then, but there are a lot of shops now that were in downtown that they're all empty now. Downtown Phoenix is very expensive for a business to exist in, and it's often very dead. And I would know this because I used to live down there before I had my boys. Also, I pretty much forgot about this, but at one point I tried to take a bunch of stuff that I made down to physically sell it somewhere. It did not end well. I think I sold like one thing, and that was it. To be fair, at the time I didn't have enough money to get paint and all that, so most of my paintings were digital, and I wasn't very good at digital yet. This is back from 2012. This is whenever I was still fighting, in court. And I was just doing something with myself to try not to think. I also found a picture of a friend of mine who died not long afterwards. It's kind of surreal. They helped me down there with the table and all that, the folding table and the stuff I was laying out on it. She and her boyfriend at the time helped me out with that, and she was another casualty of the system. That's why I won't close myself off the way that her mom did. Her dad managed to get her, but then her family was torn too. Doing the same thing that happened to my brother, with a bunch of people saying a bunch of untrue things and her kind of standing there saying no. And then her mom hardening herself and prioritizing her sister. The kid that she actually was able to keep and raise. And it was just a mess. And then her mom said something likely carelessly, and it just... After that, she just continuously tried to use her diabetes to kill herself. She drank a bunch of Tampico and not take her insulin. It wasn't that she was using the wrong dosage. She would just not take it, and she would say, she told me that this was her intent. She told her sister that this was her intent. But because, she had no mental health history, the hospital would not do anything about it. Her mom, her aunt, her dad, her sister, and I, even her boyfriend, everyone was in on it, saying she needs help. I said it back then and I'll say it now. If you're already in the system, they will jump on you like flies on shit. And they'll even do it whenever there isn't a reason to do so. They hear a whisper that there might be a reason and they'll act like there is a reason. It doesn't matter if it's proven wrong, you still have to deal with the fallout of that afterwards. It can be very cruel in that respect. But if you're not in the system, you have no history, nothing. They often don't listen. She got her wish. And she died in her sleep. From what I was told, it was the continued damage.
I gotta pee. I'm sorry, you're recording? I'll come back.
No, it's okay. You just made me smile and I needed it.
That's good.
Remember my friend who kept on trying to kill herself
Mm-hmm.
until the damage from her keeping on trying to kill herself killed her? I found an old picture of her. Remember what? Because my camera kept on getting stolen,
Yeah.
and so I started sending myself pictures. Yeah, I was emailing them to myself. I hate Google, so. But there's a job opportunity that would require me to make it my primary, so I was just going through it. But I used to send myself pictures to back them up, just email them through text messaging. I just picture message them to myself. My camera was shit, so a lot of this stuff doesn't look good. Like, it's not good photo quality. Nothing you'd hang on your wall, but I saved a lot of pictures of my kids this way. A lot of things I'm sure the workers wouldn't want me to have saved. I mean, that's kind of why they were doing what they did. Yeah, I saved a lot of stuff by just sending it to myself. And, not telling them what that email address was. Because everything that they knew about was just, it was getting hacked. And, I didn't have proof that it was them, and I was never accusing them of it. But, something was going on. If it wasn't them, then it was someone involved, and clearly if I told them, it would be, messed with, because that's what was happening. And it happened, okay, maybe once or twice you could blow off as a coincidence, but this wasn't once or twice. This went into, 6 in a dozen. This was something where me, someone who had continuously had, the same email accounts and stuff, since I was a teenager, suddenly they were gone. I'd kept the same emails. I hate changing emails. I hate changing addresses. This phone number I tried to keep for a while, but a few years back the company we were switching to wouldn't let me keep it. But I've had the same phone number for a while. And I had that one for years too. I've never been a person who just randomly likes to change their phone number. There was a time whenever I was homeless though that I didn't really have a consistent phone number, but I was like 18 and the fuck was I supposed to do? If you can't pay your phone bill, you can't pay your phone bill. You know, you're kind of homeless. And back then they didn't have Obama phones. They didn't exist. Some of these I don't even know what I was thinking taking the pictures. I think I wasn't even paying attention anymore. I was just doing it. Just, you know, focus on something. Anything. My other Google account got hacked years ago. It was one of the accounts that we knew about. And that's why I can't access the YouTube channel associated with it, because that was hacked too. Remember, there was this one, I took pictures of the steps. I wanted to try and see the world from the way that my kids saw it, so it probably sounds stupid, but I took pictures of the lights on the steps on the train, on the light rail. There's Tatum's boyfriend. I think his nickname was Bam Bam. At the time they were calling her Pebbles, but she didn't like it because they basically called anyone who dated him Pebbles. So there was like a bunch of other Pebbles. She hated being called Pebbles. She was like, I don't want him to know that. Oh, there's him doing something he shouldn't be doing. Yeah. I've made it through most of the painful ones before I even started. Mostly because I prefer not to cry on camera. You know, even some of these pictures though. There we go. This is from whenever I made that one bracelet. Yeah, I've actually had this habit since I was a teenager, taking pictures of different stuff that I make. I was taking a bunch of pictures of Tatum's boyfriend because she asked me to. She wanted more pictures. She wanted to, save the memories. I don't know why she was gonna go and die. a rare picture of a younger Lucky when he was somewhere between kitten and adult, and his head was still bigger than his, like, a little too big for his body, but, like, he was an adolescent cat. It's not like the one that's angled, you know, with his face up in the camera. That one I actually have posted on DeviantArt. So, you know, it was photography. Yeah, I know this angle's not doing me any favors. But I'm keeping up on some things, waiting for a response for something that I'm doing that I will hopefully get paid for. Not like that time I made those no, my brain can't word. The things that you set cups on. I made a bunch of those out of clay. I went over them with all of the different colored glazes. They were custom. They were a Pokemon set with a Kirby in it. And I was supposed to get paid for that, but they never paid me. So I was like, and they just kept on having excuses. So I was like, well, and they're like, well, if you send it to me, then no. I don't care how nice you are to me, talking to me. If you're commissioning me something, I'm not going to just send it to you without payment. It doesn't work that way. I spent, because I was sharing that kiln with a bunch of other people. I spent so much time on that, and I couldn't even put them all in at once. And I had to, it just took a week of waiting for other people to get through, and putting what I could in, you know. It was not, I mean, we have them, and I was like, well, he's not going to pay for them. There we go, and we have 2 sets of things like this, and, yeah. Yeah, it was a custom set. It's got a Jigglypuff, a Gloom, an Oddish, Kirby, Jigglypuff, Gloom, Oddish, Kirby, and I think there's another one that I'm not necessarily remembering right now. Just because I don't look at it all the time. Chris does. And I was just like, I'm not sending this to you for free. You know, part of the cost also covers the shipping. So, and I was already giving them a discount, like a massive discount. It was already going to cost me most of it. You know, I was already giving them a massive discount, you know, because they were a friend of mine. I was like, and I knew that they didn't have a lot of money. So, I was only charging them $60 for a custom set that I put a lot of time and effort into. Like, it would not have costed $60 normally, and I even agreed to, like, down it after that to, like, 40. Like, if they paid me 40 ahead of time, I would send it to them and probably never see the 20 again, you know, so I already knew that. I knew enough about this person, you know, that I knew that if I sent it to them without payment, I was never going to see payment. So, there is that. I guess Tatum wasn't as much of a direct casualty of the system as a friend of mine whenever I was younger was. I mean, a lot younger than Tatum, younger. Tatum died probably back in let's just say that Tatum died before I lost my boys, before the court just went, oh, we don't care that you've done everything. If we don't acknowledge that, if we don't like make a fuss about that, I guess it doesn't matter, sort of thing. It was all about those funding consequences. I hate that judge. I found, like, somebody actually was like, hey, have you seen this? Like, 3 years afterwards. And I found out that all the things that I was hearing were things that other people had heard too. And that this video that used to be on the website for the state was, floating around, that they'd actually advocated what happened to my kids and I. Our state is endlessly corrupt. They care what they appear to be, not what is actually there, and that is scary. A lot of people... The only reason I wasn't gag ordered is because I'm not a threat. I don't have a massive following online. Nobody is going to listen to me. Nobody's listening to me about it. I've been talking about it for years. What happened to us, and they didn't really, I guess she didn't see me as a threat, but there are other people who have been gag ordered. A lot of people in my state end up with gag orders, and I'm going to tell you this right now. They don't gag order you if they're not doing anything wrong. If they're gag ordering people in Arizona, it is usually because there's something wrong. And if you talk, and they're afraid that you might be listened to by someone that'll actually care. That's why cases like the Diego sisters, the hospital basically used DCS to medically kidnap them because their parents would not approve, because they had like some rare disorder, both of them, and they wanted to do experimental treatments, and the parents said no. And it should have ended there, but it didn't. The hospital took custody of them. The girls went from being pretty functional, they were pretty healthy despite this, to being non-responsive.
I'll be ready in a little bit. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt your recording.
No. I just know that you don't like to be in it.
Yes. I'm sorry.
So I faced it down.
Okay.
Love you.
I don't know what else to eat with it.
I'll come out and make something else.
Okay. Alright.
Alright, love you. I gotta go. The guys are hungry. My guys are hungry. Chris and his dad. So we're heating up some leftovers, something I made yesterday, and I'm like, well, this is not enough for these two. Yesterday we ate I made up some cheeseburgers with it, and today I don't know what I'm gonna make with it because I don't really want to do cheeseburgers again. Guess I'll figure it out.